What I wanted to go through is where I'm thinking around how to, get us to the point where we've got a regeneration plan. And this is where we're at the moment, and this workshop and feedback and so on is going to help mould that into a process. So there's a technical process and a master planning or spatial planning process, but all informed by an engagement process. It's not finalised, and we're looking for feedback on what we're talking about. But here are the key elements I think we'll need to do. So if you think about it, in many ways this process I think will be similar to the way we develop plans for master plans, concept plans, spatial plans, whatever you want to call it, for large public realm projects or large urban development projects. One of the key elements is the technical studies. We need to make sure we are well informed and have all the information. That means all of us have all the right information. So I'm going to make an assumption that there's going to be a great deal of interest in what those technical studies say. There's two types, if you like. There's one which is setting out the constraints, the existing constraints, and there's another set of types of studies which set out the options and the opportunities. When technical spans from the engineering, geotechnical, contamination, flood risk sort of technical studies, but as important as those are the social and community connections, the needs in terms of that sphere of work which inform all this whole process, the archaeology, the cultural history, the heritage, the stories. So then there's a really important process about how we take all of that information, all those ideas and options and opportunities into a spatial plan, into something which expresses all those ideas. But informing that is the things that we just talked about in terms of what are the guiding principles. And I'm going to anticipate, this is the start of discussion about those guiding principles. No, it's a continuation of discussion about the guiding principles that needs to test, that any spatial plans need to be tested against to see how well it achieves that. So I think we'll be looking at lots of scenarios and talking about how best to which one of those scenarios best achieves the guiding principles. So it's really important, of course, that those ideas and what's in those plans are feasible, and when I put business case there, I'm not talking about business as in profit making necessarily, but that's always one element. But the business case process is a process which is it's a rigorous, methodical almost. Sometimes it's a little bit boring, but you go through a bit of a process to really test the thinking. And it's a thinking process which gets us from, okay, what are we trying to achieve, to what's the best way to achieve it, and then what's the best way to deliver it. So there's a process to go through, and it's called the Better Business Case process. So we think we'll be using that to try and understand and help guide us through this process. And I'm going to assume that there are really some important points along that process that people want to get involved in. And all of that tied together then leads to a regeneration plan. So the thing at the end of the process is the regeneration plan. But there's a lot of work that has to come together to link into inform what that document is at the end of the day. So that process that I've just set out is in those sheets at the back corner there. Included in that is both the statutory process, which Nick has just talked through in terms of those steps, but also the, if you like, that spatial planning technical process, business case process, which I've just talked about. So we're really wanting to understand where you think and in what way there needs to be involvement in those processes. So then we can finalise the design of this process and get on with it.